I'm Carl Zeus, and this is CNS Student News. We'll get you right into it today with a story out of Syria. You may have heard of the terrorist group ISIS and their brutal interrogation techniques, but on a better note, they have released 19 captives and plan on releasing more. We have Gerhig Hertzberg with the story.
ISIS's forces have grown to between 30,000 and 50,000 fighters. Many believe that we could have stopped them before they got too powerful, but that by the end of June, the United Nations announced that roughly 1.2 million Iraqis have been forced from their homes. The reason ISIS is so dangerous and scary is because they are the richest terrorist group we have ever seen. They own the area around many oil fields and have a daily revenue of $3 million. Currently, ISIS is holding 150 Christian hostages. In May 2014, ISIS kidnapped more than 140 schoolboys in Syria. These prisoners are terribly tortured and often don't come back alive. Also, that year, in June, they took control over the cities Mosul and Tikrit in Iraq. ISIS has said they might destroy the Mosul Dam, which could devastate the city and kill 500,000 civilians. ISIS has killed over 5,000 Iraqis and at least 2,000 civilians in Syria in just 6 months. These events could be considered a modern-day Holocaust because ISIS is wiping out Christians and Shia Muslims in the Middle East. They have taken at least 300 women into slavery. They have trapped at least 40 civilians on Mount Sinjar. Let's take a look at my exclusive interview with an ISIS soldier. Okie doke, Carl. We're here in Syria, and we got an interview with one of ISIS's soldiers. So, here he is. Nice to meet you.
Come.
Oh, okay.
Sit.
Thanks for doing this interview with us.
Welcome. No little English. Ask question.
Okay. So why are you attacking democracies around the world?
No attack democracy. Death to America.
Okay, I understand that you don't like America, but why?
We're to hang a flag from the ruins of the White House. Death to America.
Okay. I'll change the questioning. Why do you have hostages?
Get rich, cause death to America.
But aren't you one of the, richest terrorist organizations?
Yes, buy weapons. Death to America.
Jeez Louise, I think we're done here. I'll leave.
You no leave. You follow me.
No.
You have 2 days to live. Give me the camera. What? Death to America.
We apologize for that. And this just in. ISIS has made a public demand to CNS Student News for $1 million for Gerhig. But due to the fact that we were underfunded and no one really liked him that much anyway, we're just going to let it slide. Here's some fun facts about Gerhig to commemorate him. Here's today's Tech Bites. Apple's new Apple Watch is set to release on April 24th. Some of the designs come with an 18-karat gold exterior. These can cost from about $10,000 to $17,000. If you're not willing to empty your savings for a new watch, they do have cheaper models that cost around $350 to $550. There will be many features on it for health and fitness. It has features for measuring your heart rate to helping you sit down less often. It promises to make you more fit and active.
And action.
We all remember the great Ebola scare of the fall of 2014, but all that fear has seemed to diminish. There's been some new fear caused by the recent rise in cases of measles in the United States. If you're wondering what's going on, wait no further. We have Dr. Mason Gupta with the story. Mason.
In the short time we have been in 2015, there have been 173 cases of measles in 17 U.S. states. 2014 had the most cases of measles in recent years, with 650. During one outbreak of 2014, there were 368 cases by itself. This was mostly in Ohio and thought to be brought over from the Philippines. California has the most cases by far, with 115 because of ties with Disneyland and Filipino tourists. Vaccinations are safe and effective, so parents are encouraged to have their kids get the shot. Symptoms of measles are similar to a bad cold with a sore throat, fever, runny nose, sneezing, and a bad cough. You might feel very tired and drowsy, and this disease usually takes 1 to 2 weeks to show symptoms. After 2 to 3 days of symptoms, tiny white spots appear inside the mouth. After the white spots, a rash may appear within the next 3 days. Like measles now, Ebola scared many people several months ago. Ebola is a virus that affects humans and other primates. It was first identified in 1976, simultaneously in 2 villages in West Africa, one called Nazara, the other called Yamoussoukro. Yamoussoukro is near the Ebola River, which is where the disease gets its name. Most scientists believe that it originated in fruit bats, which is its natural carrier. Once a disease is contracted in a village, immediate action is needed. Medical services include tracking of those who came in contact with the patient, fast access to the laboratory services, and proper disposal of the diseased body. It's highly essential to not come in contact with any bodily fluids of the infected person. Last spring was one of the largest outbreaks of Ebola there ever were. Fear arose in America when healthcare providers returned to Western countries. About 10,000 people have died so far. Scientists predict 20,000 more cases by next November with a 70% fatality rate. Here are some symptoms of Ebola. The first signs can appear between 2 days and 3 weeks after infection. These include a fever, sore throat, muscle pain, and headaches. Shortly after, the patient will experience vomiting, diarrhea, a rash, decreased liver and kidney function, and even internal bleeding. At this stage, without advanced treatment, death often follows. But please, do not worry. People in America should be completely safe.
The answer is B, the Ukraine. The Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe, next to Russia, with an area of 603,550 square kilometers, which is slightly smaller than Texas. Its population is 44,291,413 people as of July 2014. This has been today's shout-out.
For over a year, tensions have been high in the Ukraine. Last winter, the Ukraine was weakened with loss of long-term president Viktor Yanukovych. For years leading up to his departure, the people of Ukraine have been unhappy with him. Conflict arose when Russia invaded the Crimean Peninsula. Here's Gerhig Sarosy with a report.
Okay, Carl. Since March of 2014, Ukraine has been at war with Russia, as well as pro-Russian forces in the regions of Crimea and Donbass along the Ukrainian border. The pro-Russian forces in Ukraine, who are supported by Russia, wish to become independent from Ukraine, forming the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic. Russian annexation of Crimea, the war has escalated there and in the Donbass region of Ukraine. And in August of 2014, Russian forces crossed the border, moving troops and artillery into Ukraine, escalating the fighting. On February 11, 2015, leaders of France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia met in Minsk, Belarus to negotiate a ceasefire to revive the former ceasefire that had been agreed to on September 5, 2014. On March 29, 2015, pro-Russian rebels bombarded the Ukrainian forces at an outpost in the village of Smile from inside the Luhansk region. Russian representatives agreed that this was a direct violation of the ceasefire that took place. It was also announced on March 29th that American paratroopers will be training some 900 Ukrainian servicemen starting on April 20th.
Now, you may have heard of climate change or global warming. After all, it's one of the world's largest debates. Now, there's two groups of people, those who believe and those who don't. Out of those believers, some believe that it's caused by humans, while others believe that it's completely natural. We have climatologist Chris Ranalli with the story. Chris?
Many scientists believe in human-caused climate change, 97% in fact. It all starts with the greenhouse effect. This is a completely natural phenomenon that regulates the stability of our atmosphere, keeping our world not too hot and not too cold. What happens is when energy from the sun hits the Earth's surface and is reflected back into space, some of those greenhouse gases such as CO2, water vapor, and methane absorb the reflected energy, keeping the planet warm. This is a good thing. Unfortunately, since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we've been pumping tons of these greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. They're released when we burn things called fossil fuels that include coal, gasoline, and petroleum. Every year, humans release 30 billion tons of CO2 into the air by using cars, planes, factories, and all the other things that run on fossil fuels. Before the Industrial Revolution, CO2 levels were at 280 parts per million. This means that for every million molecules, there were 280 CO2 molecules. It doesn't seem like a lot, but without it, we'd be frozen. By 2000, CO2 levels were at 368 parts per million. As you might imagine, all of these added gases will contribute to the greenhouse effect in the atmosphere. Throughout the 20th century, the global temperatures rose 0.6 degrees. It's predicted to rise 1.4 to 5.8 degrees Celsius by 2100. As a result, the average global temperature is rising and will continue to rise. Many scientists predict more powerful storms will arise as a result of this. Warm water evaporates faster than cold water, so warmer oceans will evaporate faster than colder oceans. With extra water in the atmosphere, storms including hurricanes, tornadoes, cyclones, thunderstorms, floods, typhoons, and blizzards will increase in power. We've already seen more powerful hurricanes in recent years like Katrina and Sandy. They've cost the government billions of dollars in damage. These storms are expected to get worse. Lightning strikes will also become more frequent. In 2100, the number of lightning strikes will increase by up to 50%. Global warming will melt the polar ice caps too. Sea levels will rise due to the melting of the ice caps. Every year, the ice in the Arctic and Antarctic add millions of gallons of water into the oceans. Since 1900, the oceans have risen 1.7 millimeters annually. This doesn't seem like much, but that's 1.7 millimeters on every square inch of the ocean surface. Sea levels could rise about 3 more feet by 2100 too. This could swamp coastal cities around the world. Cities in the U.S. include New York, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Boston. There could be many large natural disasters in the near future. Here's a clip from the movie Chasing Ice on the largest glacial caving ever recorded.
Ever caught on tape?
So how big was this calving event that we just looked at? We'll resort to some illustrations again to give you a sense of scale. It's as if the entire lower tip of Manhattan broke off, except that the thickness, the height of it, is equivalent to buildings that are 2.5 or 3 times higher than they are. That's a magical, miraculous, horrible, scary thing. I don't know that anybody's really seen the miracle and horror of that. It took 100 years for it to retreat 8 miles from 1900 to 2000. From 2000 to 2010, it retreated 9 miles. So in 10 years, it retreated more than it had in the previous 100.
There's hope though. Going green can help. Turn off lights when you're not using them, carpool, and reuse materials whenever possible.
Well, that just about wraps it up for today's show. It was nice of you to stop by. We hope the atmosphere was okay, because some of the topics really did warm up. I was a little jealous of how our reporters got around. You could say I was going green with envy. In fact, I was feeling a bit isolated. From all of us here at CNS Student News, I'm Carl Zeus. We'll CO2 you later.